Hello and welcome back to the Gaily Digest. We're your hosts. I'm Nigel.
And I'm Joshua.
Welcome to the first of two parts of a Christmas special. We've got so much stuff that we want to put into our show this time round that we've decided we're going to do it in two parts. So we're going to have two episodes throughout December. This is a show where we talk about all things LGBTQ+, and literally anything else that we want to discuss, review, or even rant about. And this is going to be the show that comes from within the community for the community, isn't it, Josh?
Yes.
Wonderful stuff. Right, well, without further ado, let's crack on with the show.
So, on this episode, we're going to look into a bit of a news roundup. We're going to look at some Christmas movies that are coming out soon or that we've watched recently. And we're even going to do a little top 5 of our own movies that are our favourites.
I'm looking forward to that.
I bet mine are better. And then we're going to look at some games that we're looking forward to playing over the holidays, which I have many of those. It's an everlasting pile building up. And what do you want to start with, Nigel?
Well, what I want to start with is the news roundup, because I think we've got a few little bits of LGBTQ plus related news to bring up and mention. And the first one is probably my favourite of the lot that we're going to be mentioning today. That is the fact that Laurence Fox is being sued again, which gives me great pleasure to announce that, because I just don't like him. I think he's a prat. Basically, he's being sued by Nikki Doll, who is a RuPaul's Drag Race star. She's suing him because he called participants in the opening extravaganza of the Olympic ceremony deviant little pedos, which caused a lot of controversy, and I'm glad that she's suing him, and I really hope that she wins, because he clearly isn't learning his lesson, is he?
Well, going on his track record, I'm going to say he's going to lose, because I don't think he's won any of these cases against him over the last several years.
I think that would be a delight, wouldn't it? That'd be a great thing for him to experience.
I'm surprised he's got any money left.
I'm surprised he's got any money left as well. But yeah, so that's the first bit of news, a bit of good news to start off Christmas, the Christmas season with, or the holiday period. The next one is that London is bidding to hold the World Pride in 2030. If successful, it means that London will be hosting the 10-day festival, which will be bringing the community together from all over the world, which will see London filled with rainbows, hopefully. That'll upset the anti-wokesters, won't it?
Certainly.
And last but not least, I'm going to also mention some other news where the LGBTQ plus veteran Brian Timberland managed to lay a wreath for LGBTQ plus veterans that died during the war, that were involved in the war as well. So I think that's a nice little positive bit of news. And it's nice to see that the LGBT plus veterans are being represented in some way, shape or form. But that is the news roundup. As I said, it is a roundup, so it's all going to be brief news. So we're going to move on to the next bit, which is where we're going to be talking about
Christmas movies.
Yay!
So here's a couple of recent Christmas releases. I'm going to start with one called Our Little Secret.
And what's that about?
Well, that's got Lindsay Lohan in, so it's going to be cheesy, which I'm all about cheesy films. And the premise of it is that it's a girl that meets a new boyfriend, and she goes for dinner with his family for Christmas. And unfortunately, when she sits around that table, she notices that her ex is also sitting around that table for Christmas. I can't think of anything worse. But that's going to be on Netflix. And whilst I'm sat here recording this, I haven't actually watched it yet. But as you're sitting there listening to this podcast, I have watched it.
And when was it out?
27th of November, I believe.
Brilliant. Well, there's another one coming out, or will be out by the time this episode goes out, and that is Dear Santa, which is going to be on Paramount Plus, and it was available from Monday the 25th of November, and it's called Dear Santa. It's got Jack Black and he is featuring in this movie where he plays Satan. And the premise of the story, or the movie, is that it's a family Christmas film about a boy who writes to Santa, but because of the government's repeated reductions of public school funding, he misspells the name of the letter's recipient, and the cloven one shows up to grant his wishes and steal his soul instead.
Lovely.
Yeah, well, that's something nice and festive to enjoy over the Christmas period. We've also watched a few films recently, a few Christmas films, and one of my personal favourites of the ones that we've watched recently is a film called Meet Me Next Christmas, which is a film about Layla, who is in an airport. Her flight's cancelled and she meets a guy called James. They make a pact that if they're still single in a year's time, they will go to a concert together. And it's from that moment that they make efforts to try and see each other once again.
Well, I think she's a bit of a stalker, in my opinion, because he forgets about her. He doesn't look for her. And she's just a bit obsessive, I think, trying to find him and makes him her entire life.
I think she was a bit obsessive. But it's a nice rom-com for Christmas.
It is a very funny film.
It is a nice rom-com.
And it's cheesy. Again, yes. I love cheesy films.
But it's a good film. So obviously, if you do see it on your list, or see it it's on Netflix. It's a 2024 film, so it's only recently come out. Do add it to your list if you like those kinds of films. I think you won't be disappointed. I think you'll enjoy it.
And another film we've watched recently is Jingle All the Way, which is an absolute classic 90s film.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes, there is a second version of that film, but we're not going to talk about that one.
No, we've firmly put that at the back of our mind, where we've forgotten about it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the lovely rush of trying to find your kid the present that they really want for Christmas that seems to be sold out everywhere. And he goes to extreme lengths to get this specific toy. And he does many, many terrible things to find this one toy.
I'm sure that most of you that are listening have probably seen that film. If you haven't, what on earth have you been doing?
Under a rock.
Oh dear. There's also Hot Frosty, which is a film that came out this year.
That's probably the cheesiest film I've seen this year.
Cheesiest, absolutely. But yeah, it's about a snowman that has a magical scarf put on him, and he comes to life. And now I've got to be careful how I say this because Josh will give me, I'll probably get the knife out and he'll give me daggers for looks. But the character who plays the human Frosty is quite attractive. Chiseled jawline. Pecs.
He looks nothing like the snowman he was before.
No, he's human. That one was snow. But basically, and the woman who put the scarf on him, she ends up falling in love with him and ends up trying to keep him alive. And then the town try to hunt him down. So it's a bit of a witch hunt type movie. But it's cheesy. It's funny. It's worth a watch if you want to chill out and just want to be mildly amused by something and you want to feel in the festive mood, I think.
And if you're ever desperate, get with a snowman.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yes, another one that I've watched with you again is After Christmas, which is, in my opinion, one of the best Christmas animated films ever made.
Why would you say that?
Because I laughed through pretty much the whole film. It looks beautiful. I love the story of it.
It is a good story.
And the sassy elves, I just love them. I love the sassy elves.
And did you notice there was a bit in there where there was two elves that kissed, and they were definitely both male elves.
So you've got gay representation.
There was a tiny little bit of LGBT representation in there where you had two male elves that kissed each other, and it was so subtle, and I think it was just thrown in there just gently. It's one of those blink and you miss it moments in that film, I think. but I think it's brilliant when they put these things out there, and the upset it causes to the anti-wokesters.
Yep.
You know,
And
don't care about them.
love is love, even if you're an elf.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we also I find this difficult to describe as a film, but I think it is a film. But it's just a very short film. It was only about, I think, an hour long.
It is a short film.
But it's classed. It was, I think, classed.
It's very well done
as a film. But it's pretty much the British version of Jingle All the Way,
Yes.
and it's click and collect. It's got Stephen Merchant in it. He's the insufferable father who had to go and get a toy that was the most wanted toy for his...
Very cheap looking toy, I must say.
It was incredibly cheap looking, but very expensive. He had the opportunity to get the toy, but refused because they doubled the price. His neighbour is quite insufferable in that he just doesn't get along with him, but his neighbour's so overly festive, it's brilliant.
It's very Scrooge-like, and then the neighbour is like this super Christmas man that loves everything about Christmas.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but when you put it like that, yeah, there's the aspect of it's almost like you've got qualities of different Christmas films. So almost the Christmas Carol aspect where he's Scrooge-like, and his neighbour is very festive and wants to bring Christmas cheer into his life, and then you've got the Jingle All the Way aspect where you've got it about the toy that he's trying to get. But for a short film, it's just very funny. I was laughing out loud at a lot of moments in that, but it's one that I'd recommend for anyone that's listening to watch, and it is on Netflix. It's very funny, it's very light-hearted, it's very entertaining, and yeah, that's going to be my last movie that I'm going to mention that of ones that we've watched, because there's going to be plenty more that we're going to be watching over the next few weeks.
And the final film that I'm going to mention that we watched was Klaus. And now I've seen this before, and I introduced you to it this year.
You did.
Because I think it is a very special film. I love the animation style. It's very different to any other ones. I love the story. I believe it's Norwegian. It's the Norwegian story of Santa. It's about a postmaster who, well, his father owns the company, and he kind of just wants to be lazy and just live life getting paid, not really doing anything. So the father sends him to this very remote place to be a postmaster. And whilst he's there, he comes across somebody who used to make lots of toys and things. But then there was a tragedy and he stopped. And it's about the story of two people meeting and bringing festive joy to a place that's lost all of that Christmas spirit.
Yeah. You're right about the animation style. And this is the thing, I think, with a lot of animated films that come out. I like how different animation companies tinker with different ways of animating the films. I enjoyed it. It's definitely one that's worth seeing. But yeah, that's the Christmas movies we've watched. Some recommendations there for you all. And obviously you've got some upcoming Christmas films coming out or out already that would be interesting and probably worth seeing.
I've been talking to a lot of gamers this week on Blue Sky.
All right.
Emphasis on the gay. So I'm going to talk about some games that I'm looking forward to playing over this holiday season coming up. And one of them I think me and you share that we want to play is Mario and Luigi Brothership.
Yes, I do love the Mario games, I have to say. I've grown up on Nintendo, and I think Mario games have been sort of ingrained into me as I've grown up. But yeah, Mario and Luigi Brothership is definitely one of the ones on my list that I want to play. I haven't got it yet. I don't think... Is it out yet?
Or I'm not sure. You'll have to wait for Santa. But I do have another game that I recommend you play. I have
to wait for Santa to come and empty his sack.
Oh dear. But yes, let's move away from that filth. I have another game that you can play, Nigel, I recommend. It's called Luigi's Mansion 2.
Oh, this is the HD one, isn't it?
Yes, and there's also Luigi's Mansion 3. You know that game that I lent you about 4 years ago that you've still not even turned on.
I still haven't played. Yeah.
You know, wherever that may be. Recommend that. It's a great game whenever you get round to it.
I might get around to it in the new year.
Maybe. But yeah, another one that I'm looking forward to, that I'm talking to you, Santa. Hopefully you'll put it under my tree. Is Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which is another Zelda game that, because I'm obsessed with Zelda.
You do love Zelda.
I do. But in this one, Zelda's saving Link for once instead of being this damsel in distress all the time. So that's going to be an interesting game for me to play. Do you have any?
You know what? Talking of Zelda, I've never played a Zelda game.
That's sacrilegious.
I'm probably going to get a lot of unfollows for that.
I feel like you'd get a bit lost, to be honest.
there's probably people that are listening to this that are thinking, "What?
Your that follower count's going to drop now." I love Zelda, by the way, so mine can go up.
I'll have to get into Zelda games. I've always wanted to, but I've never really.
I can lend you some of mine. I have Breath of the Wild. That's good.
I've heard that's a good one. That one does get raved about a lot.
I did play over 1,000 hours on that, so just bear that in mind.
I'll need to sort of find 1,000 hours from somewhere.
Definitely. But yeah, one more that I'm looking forward to is Epic Mickey Rebrushed. I've played this on past consoles, and because I have got OCD, so in this one, the world has lost all of its colour.
Yeah.
And you can go around with your paintbrush as Mickey, and you can paint the world again, and it brings it all back to life. Now, I love
Mickey Mouse.
Yes.
Oh.
Epic Mickey, because he's epic. And you can paint things and they will come back to life. Now, I'm one of them people who I can't just put a bit of paint on half of it. I have to paint the entire room, every single square inch of it, because that's how my brain works. So I'm looking forward to spending many hours painting.
Another one, going on to games that I'm looking forward to as well. I love the Mario Party games, and I think they've either released or releasing Mario Party Jamboree.
Well, we've played these games online with some of our friends.
Yes.
And a certain friend called Joel, who I was partnered with for one of these multi-games. And when I tell you that my smartwatch was telling me that my heart rate was dangerously high, because when you said Joel go left, Joel would go right. And when you said Joel jump, he wouldn't jump on the platform, he'd jump into the hole.
Oh, Joel, if you're listening to this, we love you.
We do love you, but
we think you're brilliant.
But just don't be my partner on Mario Party.
Oh, but no, Mario Party Jamboree. I've played all the previous Mario Parties, the original Mario Party, the Mario Party All Stars. I do think they're probably trying to chime in on a lot of money for this. I think they could have easily just maybe done it as a DLC like they did with Mario Kart. Maybe
I agree, yeah.
Adding on extra
boards. The last party game was, how many worlds was it? 4 board games?
4.
Now, to me, that's not enough.
No.
There should be like 8.
But they did include a lot of the games, didn't they, from the mini games from previous.
Yeah, but the problem is adding 1,000 mini games to 4 board games. It's going to take you 16 years to play them.
True.
Because they're randomly generated, and we always keep landing on the same really stressful levels, and never on my favourite mini game called Book Squirm, which is the best mini game ever created on those games.
I did like that one.
It's brilliant. I love pushing you, making you get squashed.
Yeah, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so I mean, again, it's Mario games. I've grown up on Nintendo. I just love Mario games. I think I've got so many of them.
I'm sure we'll be playing Mario Kart still, because you've been playing that for a very, very long time. Most weekends with our friends. 4 years. So yeah, hope you never know. We might get a new Mario Kart game on the next Switch.
Hopefully.
Bring back those lovely red box
the question mark boxes.
Yeah, because I love dropping those on the real boxes and then hearing everyone scream behind me that they drove into one. It's my favourite thing, and I just really do want to get Joel with that.
Lots of obscenity. Well, I want to get you with it as well.
Yeah, you have to be in front of me on there to do that, and you're always behind.
Oh, there's always one. Any other games?
I think that's all of them, apart from the mass pile of games that I've never actually finished.
Yeah, I've got a few that I haven't finished.
A few dozen,
That's a few.
a few dozens.
It's the most wonderful time of the show.
All
It's
right,
our top 5 Christmas
all right,
movies.
Celine.
Celine?
Yeah.
I'm not Celine. I haven't got a good voice like that. So, Josh, are we going to take it in turns or are we going to do our top 5 in one go?
I prefer when we take it in turns, Nigel. What's your... I knew that would get you. Do you want to start with your number 5?
No, let's just carry on. It was the eyebrow raise that you did when you said that. Utter filth. Anyway, so our top 5 Christmas movies.
We will get there in the end when he stops turning purple.
That's your fault. Oh dear. Right, top 5 Christmas movies. I'm going to start 5 down to 1.
Let's go.
In number 5 for me is, I have to say, The Grinch, but not the Jim Carrey one.
The animated
The
one.
animated one, the Illumination one.
Brilliant.
I just love that film. Benedict Cumberbatch plays the Grinch beautifully. And there's one of my favourite bits about it is where he goes to Whoville and he's doing his shopping and he's followed around by the carol singers.
That's hilarious.
And then as he's trying to get away from them, the speed and tone of the carols that they're singing keeps changing. But I just think that's very well done. It's a bit of Christmas fun. It's a bit of Christmas entertainment. And for me, it's not quite my number 1. It's not quite up there because I have got some other films that I like better for different reasons. But yeah, that's my number 5.
And I must say, because you didn't mention it in The Grinch, Fred. Fred, icon.
Absolutely
I love
iconic.
Fred. Now, I think you're going to be surprised at my top 5 films, you know.
I think I'm going to be surprised.
But my number 5 is Arthur Christmas.
Is it?
Yes. Even though we discussed it earlier.
I'm surprised that's not higher up.
Yeah, but you haven't seen what my next ones are.
That's true.
You have to wait and see.
So why is Arthur Christmas your number 5?
But this took me a lot of thinking. And it really hurt my head to put it in number 5.
Thinking does hurt your head.
How dare you? But I think when you hear my next ones, you'll understand why. Because you've seen me watch all of these films. And my reactions on these next ones, you'll understand why they're higher up on my little top 5.
Okay. So we're going on to number 4 now.
Definitely.
Number 4. Okay. My number 4 is the very first Home Alone movie. It's a Christmas classic. Some of you are listening and probably think that should be higher up. It's an absolute classic. It is one of my favourites. I watched it when it first came out when I was a kid, so it holds a lot of memories for me as a kid growing up and watching it every Christmas. The bit with the tarantula.
I think Marv makes that entire film.
I think he makes both of the films, to be fair.
It's just the noise, the screams.
He's just iconic as a character. And he's just so dippy as well, for someone who's supposedly supposed to be quite intelligent and he's coming up with the names for the wet bandits.
Definitely not intelligent.
But yeah, I love that film. But for me, it sits at number 4.
Well, speaking of Home Alone, my number 4 is Home Alone 2.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. Well, I do love this film because I've always wanted to go to New York at Christmas, and that Christmas store is literally a dream. I'd love to go to that. I'd probably be very poor. I'd buy everything. But yeah, I just love that film. I love the story with the lady in the park and that kind of thing. But I think I do love the booby traps he sets up in that one, especially the sink scene. That's probably the best one of the whole film, because every time that happens, I can't breathe for 5 minutes after that because I'm laughing so much at that one.
So that's your number 4.
Definitely, yes.
Okay. Number 3 then. My number 3. Now, A Christmas Carol is a classic story for Christmas, but there's no better version of the Christmas Carol than the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Iconic film.
It's just hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Rizzo the Rat.
The bit where he lands on the cooking turkey, that's straight away that comes to my mind.
The thing that comes to my mind with Rizzo is where he's climbing over the gate and then has to be caught by Gonzo, who drops him, and then he realises he's left his hat the other side, and then just walks through the gate, through the gap, and then back through. And then they have that little moment.
It's that kind of humour.
It's just brilliant. And the music in it as well, the songs, I just think it's iconic. It's one of my favourites, and it sits there firmly at number 3 for me.
I agree. Well, my number 3 is Christmas with the Cranks. Now that film is comic gold. It makes me laugh every time. It's about a married couple who their daughter's moved out and they've decided they don't want to really deal with Christmas this year. It's all cold and they don't want to have all the lights up and all that effort. So the money they can save by skipping Christmas, they can go on a lovely cruise. Sounds lovely. But the neighbourhood they live in loves Christmas. They really love Christmas. And when they find out they don't want to do Christmas, it doesn't go very well. Now, that film, I will laugh through pretty much every single scene of that film.
You actually introduced me to that film because I'd never seen that before.
It's hilarious.
And I have to say, when I watched it for the first time, I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say it's dated. It's a 90s film, I think.
Yeah.
So to some people that would be dated, but I don't think it's dated. I think it's survived.
Well, we are old.
The passage of time.
Speaking to you.
Thank you. But when you introduced me to it, I watched it and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And like you say, you laughed throughout the film. I was laughing throughout the film. And there's lots of really nice moments in it as well.
It does have heartwarming moments, some very emotional, heartwarming scenes.
Yeah, and for those that haven't seen it, there's certain things that obviously we could mention, but they would be spoilers. So we don't want to spoil it for you. If you want to watch it, or if you think about watching it, I'm sure it's on a streaming service somewhere. Google it, have a look, and yeah, Christmas with Cranks, great movie.
And what's your number 2?
My number 2 is it's a recently new movie. I say recently new. I think it came out a couple of years ago. And since watching it for that first time, I fell in love with the movie completely, and that is Single All the Way, which is it's a rom-com between a couple of guys. So it's got its LGBTQ plus representation in it. It's got the icon that is Jennifer Coolidge.
The only reason to watch it.
And she is utterly hilarious. I cannot emphasize enough how funny she is.
Just watch it for her, honestly.
In that film, she's brilliant. But yeah, watch it for her. But also, if you love a nice Christmas rom-com and you love to see the representation in it, the representation is there. And I just think it's a beautiful movie. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's got all those will they, won't they moments in it, I think. But it's on Netflix. Hopefully it's going to be staying on there for forever. Get watching it. You will not be disappointed. If you like those kinds of films, you will not be disappointed. What's your number 2, Josh?
My number 2 is, drum roll. Come on, do me drum roll. There we go.
That probably sounds like something else on the.
That was a drum roll, just so you know. My number 2 is Home Alone, the first one. That film is. I've grew up watching that film practically every year since I was little, and always dreamed of having that lovely gigantic house. Would love it. But yeah, I just think that film is one of them films where every single year at Christmas you have to watch it. It's on the street. It's on Disney Plus, I believe. It's always on one of the TV channels during Christmas.
It's in 4K on there as well now, isn't it?
Yes.
I think they've upscaled it.
It's usually always on the channels during Christmas holidays, and it's just one of them films where it's absolutely hilarious. It never gets old. The comedy, as you've already said earlier, is just perfect.
It's brilliant.
Brilliant.
Well paced, well timed.
100%. And then we're on the last ones now. What's your number one?
My number 1 was, I think, your number 4?
Yeah.
Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. That's my favourite. Along similar lines with you. I mean, for me, it's not Christmas unless you're watching one of the Home Alone films, because they are the perfect Christmas movies, I think. There's a couple of downsides to it. One of them being that Donald Trump is in it.
Yeah.
That's the one downside. If they could edit that out, and
10 out of 10 if he's gone.
They could AI him out and have someone else, that's better.
Oompa Loompa?
Yeah.
Little Orange Man.
But obviously that's the one downside. But he's only in it very briefly for a few seconds, if that. But the story between Kevin and the homeless lady that was in Casualty many years ago on BBC One.
Back in the day.
But the story between them, I just think was absolutely beautiful.
When he gives her the turtle doves.
Yeah, it's very heartwarming, and I think it sends that really nice message out there. And there's lots of great moments as well when Kevin plays the video in the hotel. There's the bit where the guy on the film is saying, "You've been smooching everybody," and then lists a load of names, and then ends with Cliff, and then Cliff is one of the staff that's there.
And he's just like, "Hold on, what?"
And then you've got the gunfire bit, and then Kevin comes out the door, and the iconic line, "Merry Christmas, you filthy animal, and a Happy New Year." But yeah, I just love that film, and the bit with Marv when he falls through the hole and then just looks up and goes, "What a hole!"
And the lovely sink scene that I mentioned
scene
earlier
as well. That's absolutely hilarious.
I do love that one.
But yeah, that's on Disney Plus as well.
And my number 1, which I also introduced you to.
I'm looking forward to this
because I love a laugh.
Oh, hang on. Can I guess this?
Go on,
before you say it, can I guess this?
Go on, give it a go.
Is it National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
It is.
It is, yes.
Honestly, that film is probably it is my all-time favourite Christmas film. I watch it every year. It is so funny. It is so. Some of the scenes that that I remember is when he goes sledging. He gets this metal sleigh and he puts this special oil on it. And when he scoots himself off that hill, he shoots so fast he goes into the future. Basically, he's like a bullet. It's just so funny. And the tree, and the tree's too big for the house, and that's just even more funnier. And the poor neighbours. And the squirrel, there's a dog, there's a
squirrel in the tree.
There's an angry cat. There's literally everything in it. There's a toupee. There's just everything in it.
Road rage.
Yeah, it's just honestly, it's the best. It's just the best film to me ever. And honestly, I think people need to watch that because you will laugh from the start to the end. But it is also heartwarming throughout it as well. But it is a comedy. It is so funny.
Brilliant stuff. So there you have it. I would say there's 10 films that we've mentioned that you could watch, but given that we've shared 2, I think that probably leaves about 8 left.
Yeah, but they're brilliant.
They are brilliant films. So yeah, so you've got The Grinch, you've got Muppets Christmas Carol, Single All the Way, Home Alone 2, National Lampoon,
Arthur Christmas with the Cranks. So if you start them now, you'll be finished by Christmas.
If you start them now, you'll be well finished before Christmas.
Yeah.
One a day.
That's your challenge. Get on it. Let us know what you think of them.
We did put out on our socials asking for your top fives, and we've had quite a few responses. We haven't got time to read those out this time, so we will be reading them out on part 2 of this episode. And that is about all we've got time for. But before we go, we're going to do a couple of shout outs for people that have got in touch. We're going to say hello to Leo on Blue Sky, who's got in touch with us. He said, hello, looking forward to it. Happy holidays to you both in advance. Thanks, Leo, and happy holidays to you too. And we've also got Mark Britt, who's got in touch. Ho, ho, ho. I loved your premiere episode and can't wait to listen to this new one. Thanks, Mark. We hope that you enjoy it. But that is literally all we have time for now on this part of the Gaily Digest. We will be back in a couple of weeks' time with the next episode, the next part to our Christmas special. And until that time, stay safe and be merry.
Goodbye.
Bye.